After watching today's video, you are going to have some of the most powerful builds for every faction. And these loadouts are simply going to make the highest difficulty within the game much easier. The first build I want to talk about is going to be against the automatons. Now, I'm not going to lie, this build has definitely made it way more fun for me personally to play against the bots. So the first item that we're going to go for here is going to be the 500 kg all around incredible tool, no matter which faction you're fighting, and that stays the same for the bots as well. Now, if you don't want to run the 500, a very strong option is also strafe. When it comes to the automatons, it is always a phenomenal choice. And what we're going to do is, no matter if you go for strafe or 500, we are going to be combining it with the orbital laser. The laser just makes the whole game much easier when it comes to the bots. It really does. Like, if you have a big base in front of you, throw it in, it takes care of it very easily and is a very strong pick against them. When it comes to the blue stratagems, we are going to be going for the one and only railgun. Like, I really missed using this weapon, and running against the bots with this one once again just made me remember how much fun it was when the game actually came out. And even now, it is a very strong pick against automatons. You can destroy the ships, hulks, and then when it comes to our final slot, we're going to go for the one and only anti-tank emplacement. Guys, if you haven't used this one against the automatons, trust me, you will easily fall in love. This thing is so cracked against the bots. It's actually wild. As long as you can drop this in a good location, you are going to be annihilating the bots every single time. It is extremely strong. It's ridiculous. You have to try it out if you haven't yet. So I never go against the bots at the moment without picking this. That's how powerful it is. The cooldown is pretty low, and it is very strong against any target, bases, whatever is in front of you will get annihilated pretty quickly. When it comes to the booster, this is going to depend on what your team is running, and you can pretty much decide from there. Right now, we're going to go for stamina. And then for the weapons, right? Like, this is going to be pretty easy for me personally. My favorite, Purifier. I believe that this is the best weapon against the bots. However, I'm going to give you guys some other suggestions as well in case, you don't enjoy Purifier as much for whatever reason. But as I said, I do believe it has incredible clear, incredible single target damage, and it is very, very reliable. But if you don't want that weapon, a great pick would be the crossbow or the one and only DCS as well. That thing is a beast against the bots. As long as you're landing your shots, you just simply can't go wrong with this weapon. Then on the second slot, it's going to be the ultimatum. I personally am kind of in love with this weapon at the moment, so I don't really swap it out for many other picks within the game. And it's just one of those weapons that I use as a oh shit kind of button when there's, let's say, a Hulk really close to me and I don't have time to, charge up my railgun, or I don't have any ammo, for example. I just swap to this one and destroy whatever's in front of me. For the grenades, obvious pick against the bots is going to be the thermites. Once again, if there's a lot of hulks pushing you, tanks, whatever it is, you just throw this beauty at them and you're good to go. So when it comes to the armor, we are going to be playing heavy armor. One of my favorite armors in the game when it comes to the bots is the Devastator. This gives us 50% resistance to explosive damage, which is very, very good against the bots. Another great option would be the Butcher. This is the medical armor with 6 stims, obviously the heavy version, right? So for this one, we're going to go with the Devastator. And this is pretty much the build that we're going to be using against the bots. So what makes this build really strong is that we literally cover everything. You don't have to worry about any type of enemy within the game. The Purifier does. The Purifier has a very, very good ad clear. So if you're getting pushed by smaller enemies, no matter what it is, even if it's like a bunch of Devastators, as long as you're hitting one of them, they take massive AoE damage, and you're taking out a bunch of enemies at the same time with charged shot. And speaking of charged shots, that's what makes the Purifier so good against the bots, because the ammo economy, because of the said charged shots, not taking any extra ammunition from your magazine, that's just incredible. But one thing about the bots is that you need to play a little bit strategic, right? And that's when the one and only anti-tank emplacement comes in. As I said, if you position this correctly, you can literally take out bases within seconds. It's just so good, dude. And then you're gonna have the railgun, as mentioned, for hulks, for ships, and so on. Or if you just want to take out Devastators really quickly and you don't have the ammo for the Purifier, this one also comes in. As long as you know the weak spots for the bigger targets, railgun makes your day much easier. And then the laser, as I said, I do use it for the bases, right? But if I've already destroyed the bases with the emplacement, I'm gonna keep the laser for that kind of crazy situation where I'm getting pushed by tons of big targets, or let's say a bunch of Hulks, and I'm low on some of the ammunition, let's say the ultimatum and whatnot, even the railgun. That's when I like to drop the laser, and it really does work. So yeah, this is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful builds in the game against the bots. And as I said, it has made it much more enjoyable for me personally to play against the bots since I put this together. Now let's talk about the bugs. And this right here is literally an absolute banger loadout. So the first thing we're going to go for is the 500 kg. In the second slot, I'm going to give you a few choices depending on what you're looking for. So we are going to go for the rail cannon strike if you want to have more tools to take out Bile Titans, right? Like if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, you don't have enough tools, which I will break down. We have some other tools to take care of that. So it's not a big deal, but in case you're still feeling like you do get overwhelmed, that's where you're either going to pick up the rail cannon strike or the precision strike. If you're trying to be more aggressive with some of the nests, that's when you're gonna go for the 120. And if you do want better crowd control, that's when you're gonna go for the orbital gas strike. So the second slot is gonna be depending on your play style. Personally, I just move it around all the time depending on which mission I'm doing. For example, if I'm running Blitz, I do like to pick up the 120. It makes it much easier, much consistent, much faster to run those missions. Currently, we're just going to pick up the orbital rail cannon right here. And then in the blue slot, we are going to go for the one and only gas rover. Easily the best pick against the bugs right now, no matter which bugs you're fighting, by the way. It doesn't matter if it's the predator bugs, gloom bugs, normal bugs. It just annihilates everything and makes it so much easier to go against the bugs and keep them away from you, which also means that your survivability is 10 times better than normal. And we're going to combine it with the one and only flamethrower. One thing that I really enjoy about gas and flame together is the fact that the dot damage combined is very, very impactful and very strong. Now for the booster, when I'm going against the bugs right now, the first thing that I like to pick up, especially if I'm running solo, is the experimental infusion. And this is why right here. For the armor, we're going to be using medium armor, guys. But we're going to be using the medium armor with extra petting. You know, let me find it. Boom, there it is, right? So what happens here is we are literally running around with heavy armor, but essentially with medium speed, right? Which is incredible. However, what makes this even better is the said booster that I just mentioned, right? Because not only does this booster give us more speed when we're using it, but it also gives us more damage reduction. This is how you're gonna feel really tanky with this armor in the experimental infusion, and at the same time, you are gonna have incredible speed. So it's the best of all worlds right here. Usually I run the medical armor with 6 stims, but trust me, try this loadout out, try this combination of the booster and the armor. You are not going to regret it. It is extremely strong, especially because of the survivability it gives us. And since we're combining this with the gas rover, you're not going to be dying as much at all. And that is a huge plus when you're playing against the bugs. For the weapon, we are going to combine this with the one and only blitzer. And then in the secondary, we're going to keep the ultimatum. Ultimatum is going to stay true for all builds against all factions. For me personally, I simply do not swap it out. And then for the grenade, I'm going for the gas grenade. This is going to give us the ability to have tons of CC, right? Because this in combination with the gas rover gives us crazy amounts of crowd control. If I do need to take care of the bug holes, I can also use the gas grenades as well. And since I do have my gas rover, which is going to be doing a lot of crowd control, I don't necessarily have to spam this against all of the enemies at all times, which means that I can keep it for the bug holes. That said, if you are getting overwhelmed, don't be afraid to throw this down. You can always resupply as well, so don't worry about it. Now, a lot of people will be like, but Pip, what are you gonna do with the shriekers with this loadout? Well, I've showcased this multiple times on stream, and I truly do believe that the blitzer does really well against the shriekers as long as you know how to bait them in and position yourself correctly. You're not going to be destroying them at long range, but you can easily take out a pack of shriekers once you get really accustomed with this weapon and understand how that needs to be done. When it comes to the overall playstyle of this build, pretty simple. We have tons of crowd control with the gas rover, and then we are going to be spraying the ground with fire, which means that we're going to be creating huge areas, like almost like you hit it with a napalm strike, right? Anything that goes through that takes insane amounts of damage from fire and from gas as well. And then when it comes to direct damage with the flamethrower, it does an incredible job nevertheless. So if you can destroy commanders, chargers, even Bile Titans, right? When it comes to the impalers, we have the ultimatum. And I've said this a million times, I'm gonna say it again. This is my main tool to delete impalers right away. Right away. I don't care. If I hear an impaler, if I see an impaler, that is my #1 target. I'm gonna just go for it, destroy it, and then move on. Blitzer, we all know, extremely powerful against the bugs in general. And then when it comes to the red stratagems, I literally keep these for when I'm getting overwhelmed with Bile Titans. And as long as you have these two ready to go, you're not going to struggle with Bile Titans. So yeah, this build on the bug side literally covers everything. And finally, let's talk about the Illuminates. And I'm going to give you guys a few different options here, depending once again on your playstyle. We are going to start off with the orbital laser on this one, which I do believe is very strong against the Illuminates as it is against the bots. It's just so strong. For the second slot, it's going to be very similar to the bots. You can go for strafe, you can go for 500k as well. Now the blue stratagems is where this becomes really fun. So we are going to pick up the arc thrower because this literally covers everything on the Illuminate side. You can destroy any enemy and it's extremely easy to do so. However, there's one blue item that when we combine these two, which is going to be the jump pack, this means that in the city biome, you can take some really cool positions and make the gameplay 10 times more fun and effective than normal. And I'm talking about taking rooftops, higher positions in general, which once again makes it a very unique and fun playstyle. For the booster, you can go for stamina enhancement or experimental infusion. Now this is a build where your primary weapon slot is kind of open. Because Arc Thrower literally covers everything, this is going to be up to you. Blitzer is great. Punisher Plasma, Sickle. You can even pick up some of the most powerful weapons within the game, which is the Liberator and AR Zinja. That was a joke. That was a joke. Like, let's skip them real quick and let's talk about the shotguns. You can go with Cookout, Spray and Pray, Crossbow. You just have a lot of options. And once again, completely up to you. It is an open slot. In this case, I think we're going to go for Spray and Pray just for some fun. The second slot, as mentioned, is going to stay for the one and only Ultimatum. We are going to go for the stun nades. Now, the reason I like to use stun nades against the Illuminate is because it slows down everything instantly, and that makes it much more enjoyable to get away with the jump pack. Then fly away, keep charging my arc thrower in the air, and as I'm landing, I'm already zapping the targets. That is the playstyle. Stop them, create range, destroy them with the arc thrower. However, if you are positioning well with this build and getting that high ground, it goes to the complete next level of fun. Now, if you don't want the stun nade, gas nades are a good pick. However, keep in mind that gas against the Illuminates, when it comes to the zombies, it's great. But when it comes to the other enemies, it's kind of clunky. When it comes to the armor, we're going to be using the medical armor with 6 stims. This is really good with the jump pack. The survivability is also more than enough because you have 6 stims. They last longer. The speed is great because of the stims and the jump pack combination. Now, when it comes to the playstyle of this build, it is all about managing your distance because you're mostly going to be utilizing the one and only arc thrower. So you are going to drop a stun nade if needed. You're going to jump away with the jump pack. You're charging in the air as mentioned, and then boom, you're destroying them. You do this over and over. You create the range. You don't necessarily always need to do it because you might end up in a situation where the enemies already are far away. So you just start destroying them. But the jump pack is going to be there to just create really cool openings when it comes to strategic placement of your character. If you are getting overwhelmed by the tripods for whatever reason, first of all, keep in mind that the arc thrower can absolutely stun lock them forever and then destroy them within a few shots. But you do have the red stratagems. And if you have like 3-4 tripods pushing at the same time, that's when you're going to throw in the laser and everything gets annihilated within seconds. Especially if you're playing, for example, a blitz mission, one laser can complete it on its own. That's how good it is against the Illuminates. And yeah, those are my favorite builds for different factions. Make sure to let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section below. And also make sure to try them out. As always, thank you so much for all the love and support. Stay positive, stay disciplined, and I'll see you all on the next one.